Well, I wanted to begin today with a quote, and the quote comes from the Science of Mind, and it is
Let your
love
heart
open. How beautiful is that? Well, love alone can overcome fear because love surrenders itself to the object of its adoration. The soul must make a complete surrender of itself to the spirit. That is, the law must come under subjection to the spirit. The will of the spirit is peace, clear thinking, and happiness. It could have no other will. And that was Ernest Holmes. When we think of the idea of surrender, I think sometimes we get just, a little bit confused about what that actually means. And surrender is not about giving up. It's about allowing ourselves to drop into our own self, drop into the essence of who we actually are. And as we do that, we begin to live more authentically, but we live with a great sense of power and purpose. There is a part of us that knows exactly who we are, what we're here to do, all of it. It's all there. And also everything we need to move that energy forward, we all have that. So when we surrender, what we're doing is we're allowing ourselves to work from the inside out. We're able to take time to breathe and process, but we do it inwardly rather than outward. So rather than, if we're feeling sad or we're feeling angry, we're not going to project that onto another person. That would be an outward act. What we want to do is go in and check, what is it that I need right now? And allow ourselves to drop into that understanding of there is a power within me that is infinite and eternal. It is all powerful and all knowing. We tell ourselves lies all the time. We tell ourselves, I don't know what my purpose is. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I don't know. It's a lie because we do. We may not be consciously aware of it at the moment, right? We might need to remember it, but it is here. And it's in our heart space. It's never left us. And as we tap into that, there is a revelation that flows up and through us, and we begin to create a life that's truly joyful. Now, that doesn't mean there aren't bumps in the road, because believe me, there are bumps in the road. Yes, the ones out in the street and the ones that are the life path, right? Those bumps, we look at them sometimes and we call them bad and wrong, but what if they're points of redirection? What if they are meant for us to refocus? What if those points that feel a bit painful or difficult actually are moments of revelation? And so as we surrender, when something looks out here, or, we've hurt ourselves, or, we've got money troubles, or we're trying to figure out housing situations, or we're in relationships that aren't working, whatever the case may be, it doesn't really matter, because the power within us knows exactly how to deal with all of it. And when those bumps in the road come, we have an opportunity, because sometimes they move us in a new direction. If we would allow ourselves to surrender, okay, not give up, but surrender into that deeper power and essence, and ask ourselves, what do I need? And really, who am I? When we remove all those masks that we've been, hiding behind for, I don't know, a lifetime, we start removing those masks, and all of a sudden there's a freedom, because we don't have to pretend anymore. We don't have to put on a mask for this person and a different one for that person, and a whole different one for this. And instead, what happens is we just show up as we are. We show up in that place of personal power, not power over anyone else or anything else. It's not a manipulation. It is an eternal power that is within each and every person. And because we've been created unique and special, there's something that we're here to do. Now, when we're not doing it, we feel a little disconnected. We feel out of sorts, possibly. But the minute we align with it, it's like a fire starts to burn inside us. And we're able to move through difficulties with a greater sense of ease. And even being joyful regardless of circumstance, because circumstance doesn't define us. So where do we find this power? Well, we begin by checking our thinking. Check what we're thinking about. What are you thinking about right now? Is it positive? Is it productive? Is it critical or judgmental? Is it a desire for lunch or breakfast? Doesn't matter what it is. It's just a thought. However, our thoughts are the very things that move this power into motion. And that happens when we sit back and know who we are, then that power is used for good. So if I'm a powerful being, I'm going to find in my heart space my true desire. And then from there, I'm going to begin to think about and move in the direction of that. And there's something about figuring out what we truly desire and working with it that makes us a little excited, right? It's like turning up the fire on whatever's going on in our lives. We begin to open up to something bigger and brighter. So the journey that we're on, when we think of surrender, we want to think about empowerment, because surrendering is one of the most powerful things we can do for ourselves, but also for life. Remember, there's only one thing going on. We're all some part of it. And as we live in that oneness, as we live in that space, we begin to recognize that I have no power over anybody else. I cannot inflict myself on anybody else. What I must do is find myself, find my voice, find my truth. And I can't do that looking out there. However, looking out there, that's a mirror. It is a mirror of what's going on in here. So if my life is chaotic and disrupted and a mess, then I can go, whoa, where's my thinking? Well, my thinking is probably chaotic and messy at the moment too. So let me just go inward for a moment. Let me take time in meditation to quiet the insanity and begin to allow for the possibility that the answers I seek, I already have them. There is nothing out here. Everything out here has already been created. What's happening within us, that's been there from the beginning. When we were born, we came in with this understanding, this personal power. And as we rest in that, we can begin to live, pardon me, an authentic existence because we know who we are. The journey that we're on is not about fixing ourselves because we're not broken. We are here to live life. And life is a mess often. But that doesn't mean it's bad. Again, when that mess, pardon me, when that mess shows up, it's like, wow, let me look at that. And let me go within again. Let me ask myself, what do I really need? What do I desire? When I can tap into that and then meet my own need, right? Nobody meets my needs but me, right? I must meet my own needs. I know some of us like to think it's our spouse's job or our parents' job or our boss's job or our neighbor's job. So that's somebody's job to make me happy. We think if we go out and buy a car or a house or meet the love of our life, that all of a sudden everything is a bed of roses. Remember that roses come with thorns. And that's a perfect depiction of what life is like. It's beautiful and it's painful. It's stunning and it's ugly. It is all of it. And when we can get to the place of going, it is what it is, and live in the mess with a joyful heart, with a loving consciousness, our world is transformed, at least for us. But if enough of us do it, we create an impact. We create an impact on a bigger scale. All of a sudden, we're changing the energy, the vibration of life. Because remember, everything is vibration. Our bodies, the air that we breathe, the computers we're working on, all of that is just energy. And as we begin to manifest new ways of being, as we begin to understand that we are creating our life experience, that we are the ones that are doing the creation, we can check in. What am I thinking? What am I doing? How am I living? Am I living in accordance with what I believe? Or am I pretending? We've been taught to pretend. We've been taught to fake it. Fake it till you make it. Anybody heard that before? Yeah, fake it till you make it. What if instead of that, we choose to find out who we are and live from that without hiding, without apology? But we stand in who we are and we live in that space. I look at the journey that we're all on and the things that come up and the expectations that people have of us. And I did a talk a while ago about should. Whose should are you living? Because whenever that word should comes up, I have to think back for a moment and go, is that mine? Or is that somebody's expectation that's just reared up from my memory, thinking that I have to behave in a certain way in order to please those around me so I can be accepted? What if instead of trying to be accepted, we chose to live authentically? We chose to figure out, what is it that I need in this moment? And live from there, to ask for what we need rather than expect people around us to know when there's something we need of them. Learning to ask for support and being okay if somebody says no. Keep in mind, no is a complete sentence. It doesn't require a qualifier. Somebody invites you to the movies, you don't want to go? You think you should because it's your friend and you don't want them to go alone, but you really don't want to go? No. It doesn't require justification. If you said yes, it wouldn't require justification. When we allow ourselves to begin to live in a deeper place of our true self, what we'll do is we will grow and we will change and we will expand and we will become a greater, a greater version of humanity, I suppose, because we'll show up more loving. You see, I was created unique and special. And as I learn that about myself, see, that's who I really am. That's what I really am, is this unique, special, spiritual being having a human experience. And my human experience is often messy. I mean, I've been married 5 times. Believe me, there's mess. I had a husband arrested by a SWAT team once. There's been mess. But I'll tell you what, all of that mess, all of the things that I went through in my lifetime brought me to here. So I am grateful for the journey because I like where I am. I enjoy my life at the moment. Even with my broken shoulder. It's like, oh, well, now what? Joking with the nurses and the doctors in the midst of tears streaming down my face and joking with the EMS people as they're trying to move me and get me into the ambulance and get me to the hospital. Like, it's like we have a choice. We have a choice in every moment to show up or not. And by show up, I mean to actually be present to what's going on, being present to the people around us. And sometimes that means we're going to be late for something. But if our little child is crying as we leave the house, maybe we go wherever we're going a little late and we take time with that small child. Or if we're driving down the street and we're sitting at a red light and there's a pedestrian crossing with their walker and they're really, really slow, and the light turns green and they're really, really slow, but you want to get where you're going, take a breath. Just take a breath. That person's walking slowly, probably because they're in pain. Take a breath. Love them where they are. Love them where they are. It doesn't take a lot of energy to be kind. It doesn't take a lot of energy to be loving. And when we surrender into our essence, when we begin to live our lives from this place of real power, what happens is we have space for those around us. We have space for life. And I came into this year with, a statement. This was my year of real, self-love. That was the year. Everything I do this year is about self-love. And the other phrase that really stood out for me was people first. People first. Now, it's easy to get busy and to forget that. And so I have to remind myself, people first. If I catch myself sort of, in conversation with somebody and my mind wanders, it's like, whoa, wait a minute. People first. This person is sharing something with me. I remember years ago when I was in real estate, walking through the bullpen, the central part in the office where realtors can do photocopying or use the phones if they don't have office space. And I was walking through there having made copies, and another realtor came in and we said hi to each other. And I said, how are you doing? And the person kept walking. And then they turned around because I was waiting. And they turned around and went, oh, you really want to know? I said, yeah, that's why I asked. We get into the habit of saying things that don't have meaning. Like, I'm fine. Fine. Let me see. Feelings inside, not expressed. Yeah. We often live in fear. And when we live in fear, it can hold us back, and it can, we get this thing in our stomach and we feel uncomfortable and we're all fearful about whatever it is that's coming up, and we're sitting in that fear. But if we surrender into it and go, feeling excited and ready, that has a different energy. That all of a sudden lifts it. The feeling in the pit of our stomach is exactly the same. But if we're not being chased by a lion, if we don't have somebody in front of us with a gun, if it's something as simple as, telling our best friend, you know what, they ask you how the dress looks and you go, it really doesn't look good. But we'll go, oh yeah, it's great. Why would we lie? I think there's within us this potential that's infinite. And it's not in some of us. It is in all of us. Okay? That's the one thing we want to remember. Every single person on the planet, the entire 8 billion people, were created unique and special. And everyone serves a purpose. Now, we might not understand some people. We may not like some people. But that doesn't prevent us from loving them. And by love, it's acknowledging our oneness. I am you, you are me. We are one. We live, move, and have our being in this space. And the more that we can acknowledge and accept one another, the more that we take time to actually have a conversation and listen, rather than forming a response, rather than defending ourselves, acknowledging when we've made a mistake and listening to the feelings or whatever's going on for the other person. Taking space. People right now are lonely and depressed and anxious. We came through that pandemic and it's messy, but that messiness creates something new. It's like when a hurricane comes through and destroys everything, it also creates, it stirs up the muck, it stirs up old energy, and it creates something new. And in that newness, there's something to look at. When the Berlin Wall came down, there was a mess in Berlin. It was messy. When communism in Russia and Czechoslovakia stopped, it was messy. People struggled. The struggle takes us in a new direction. And when we surrender into it, rather than trying to avoid it, trying to make it go away, trying to make it right or better or happy or blah, 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 whatever we're trying to do, if we would just stop stuffing it down and go, I'm feeling really angry at the moment. I don't like what's going on. Phew, sit in that. Don't project it. Sit in it. Check in with yourself. What do I need? And listen. Listen to what comes up. We're here to live life. We're not here to put in time. I'm sorry, we're not. I've done that for most of my life, put in time. I always wanted to be somebody else. Always want to be somebody else. I'd look outside of me and go, oh, look at that person. Aren't they amazing? Oh, look at that person. Aren't they remarkable? Isn't she beautiful? Like all of it was like, oh, if only I could be like that. I don't know if any of you have ever done that. But if you have, or if you are, stop it. Stop it. You are enough. I'm here to tell you, you are enough. I am enough, just the way I'm created. Not everybody's going to like me, and I need to be okay with that. And you need to be okay that not everybody's going to like you. Not everybody's going to agree with your choices. Who cares? They're yours. Your life is for you to live. My life is for me to live. And as we sit in that place of knowing our oneness with the divine, that oneness with this intelligent universe, we know we're never alone, that we have within us this infinite power and potential that can take us anywhere, that any wall that shows up in front of us is not bad. It's a redirection. It's an opportunity to surrender instead of resist. Anybody ever resist? Resist what is? Oh yeah, we do it all the time. You know, somebody yells at us and we go into resistance. Somebody cuts us off in traffic. We go into resistance. But if we just surrendered and went, well, you know, it happened. All is well. I remember my husband had a minor little car accident a few years back, and he went to change lanes. Unfortunately, there was somebody beside him. So came home pretty devastated, driving my car. Well, our car, but I'm the driver in the household. So, you know, we kind of think of it that way. And he came home and it was all he could do to tell me that he'd been in this accident and that there was a ding on the side of the car. And I went, well, stuff happens. And I think he was surprised by that. But what's the point of getting angry? What's the point of, you know, saying, oh, you shouldn't? He already did that. He already beat himself up. I love him. Why would I do that to him? Why do we do things like that to each other? You know, our child is late coming home and we're sitting here thinking, I'm going to kill that little so-and-so when they get in the house. No, you're not. No, you're not going to do that. When they get in the house, you're going to feel relief. Why do we go there? But it's okay to go there, to be fearful, but acknowledge it for what it is. And don't yell at your child, but sit them down and go, come on, here's what happened for me. I was really frightened and really scared. I'm just so glad you're okay. That is going to have a greater effect on your child than yelling and screaming at them and telling them they should do better. They should be better. Again, we want to listen. We want to listen. listen to our children, listen to our parents, listen to our friends. Want to open our hearts and instead of resisting life, surrender into life. And that means taking a breath each moment and going, I'm here. And here is my point of power. In this now moment, I'm powerful. If I'm thinking about the past, I'm powerless because it doesn't exist. If I'm thinking way into the future, again, I'm powerless. It doesn't exist. But in this now moment, I can make choices that fuel my life. I can make choices that enliven my community. I can make choices that are loving and beautiful and kind. I can choose. It's like once going through the drive-through and there was a police officers behind me. So I paid for their order. I don't know that anybody's ever done that for a cop before, but I thought, you know what? This is going to maybe change their energy today. I don't know. I just do that when I get the impulse. So I'll be going through a drive-through and all of a sudden it's like, pay for the person behind you. Okay. Doesn't matter what it is, or, or I'm driving on the, years ago, driving on the Coquihalla Highway and paying the toll for the person behind me. Confuses them sometimes, but there's something about that, again, that produces joy in that other person. It creates a moment of happiness for them, but it also creates an energy for the people who are working that see you do a kindness like that. And I remember years ago, there was a gentleman standing outside of a Shoppers and, was asking for change. And of course, I never have any. I only have my card. And he said, I would love some food. So I went in and my daughter and I bought him a few things and we came out and gave it to him. He was so overwhelmed. He just grabbed me and gave me the biggest hug. And it was so heartwarming. It just filled me up. And then he's looking at my daughter, who at the time was about 14, and he was resistant to hug her because she's young. But then he went, oh, come here, you little shit. And he grabbed her and he gave her this big hug. And when we got in the car, she said to me that that was one of the most beautiful moments of her life. We're here to love each other. We're here to acknowledge our oneness. We are here to surrender into this journey so that we can actually be who we were created to be. It's time to stop hiding. It's time to stand up and stand out. You are enough. You are unique and special. And you are loved. Always, you are loved. Let us join together in consciousness as we wrap up this message. As I pause in this moment and take a deep breath, I feel connection. There is only one power, one creative energy, one divine essence. This one power is everywhere present. It's all powerful, it's all knowing, and it's right here where I am, right there where you are. It is being me. I am it. It is me. And as I accept that I am one with this infinite power, I acknowledge that that makes me powerful. And if I don't feel that at the moment, I choose to just surrender into my heart space and love myself as I am, where I am. Nothing to judge or criticize, just a moment of sweet, pure love and acceptance. I know that I'm truly a divine idea in the mind of the One, that I am a part of something remarkable and glorious, that I have been created unique and special. And it is in knowing this that I feel a real sense of freedom and liberation. It's easy to love, so easy to love. And so I bring myself back to that moment by moment. And I love myself enough to feel what I'm feeling. I love myself enough to be vulnerable publicly. I love myself enough to share my story and to love my journey, even with all the mess. It is in this space of love and compassion, of forgiveness and kindness, that we journey through in a beautiful and remarkable way, and life becomes transformed. We start to see the beauty of each moment, the changing of the leaves and the warmth of the sun, the coolness of a breeze. Change is constant. Resisting change is a waste of energy. But embracing it, welcoming it, allowing for it, moves us in a new way, creating glorious lives of love and joy and peace. Yes, that power is present within each and every one of us. So my heart is filled with gratitude as I think about this, gratitude for this moment, gratitude for each one of you who are here, gratitude that life really is working out. And when I don't understand it, I surrender. I surrender before the cosmic sledgehammer comes out to move me. I surrender in the moment. I surrender into life. And for all of this and so much more, I am deeply and profoundly grateful. So in a state of love and grace, peace and joy, I release these ideas into the law of mind action. It is done. All is well. And together we say, and so it is.